Hello and welcome to Reginaldesq. I'm Underhook and this is my review of the Tier 8 Swedish heavy tank, the Emil 1. So is it any good, folks? Well, yes, it's potentially a very good tank. Depends a little bit on your matchup. What's good about the tank? Well, it has a 4-shot autoloader that potentially does 1280 burst damage. It has very, very good frontal turret armor, and there are no weaknesses on the front of the turret, so there's no cupolas on this tank. It has 12 degrees of gun depression, making it a good hill fighter. Although the turret is a mid-mounted turret, it's not at the front of the tank, so that kind of means it kind of shaves a bit of depression off. The amount of gun depression you can use without exposing your hull is around about 8 degrees, but still makes it a good hill fighter. Also, it's quite fast, this tank, at maneuvering around. So what's bad about the tank? Other than the front of the turret, it has no armor whatsoever. In fact, most of the armor in this tank is a light tank armor. So HE shells and artillery will fully penetrate, and you can get one shot in this tank. The frontal armor of the tank, other than the turret, is no good. The gun has extremely poor accuracy and gun handling characteristics in general. So even though you have a 4-shot autoloader, good chance that at least one of the shots will completely miss the tank, even if you're quite close range. And if you're aiming for weak spots, good chance you'll miss the weak spot. So in general, out of the 4 shots, even if you're on the front lines fighting, you're probably only going to pen with 2 of your rounds. The tank is really best at fighting in the second line, like mediums would fight. However, most of the time you find yourself having to fight on the front line, which is very dangerous because the reload, of course, for an autoloader is very, very long. If you find yourself alone on the front line, you're probably going to die because people do count your shots. So when you fire 4 shots, they just drive around, hit you, and they will never bounce if once they get you to your hull or the sides of your turret even. So some severe weaknesses: poor gun accuracy, very poor armor other than the front of the turret, but and the gun handling's bad, yeah. But other than that, it can be good. Now the grind for this tank is actually pretty good. Even with the stock gun, let me have a look. Actually, let's have a look at the stock gun. We'll have a look at both the guns. Why not? The reason why the grind on this is pretty painless is you don't have to upgrade the turret. So right from the start, you have that really good turret. And the first gun has 179mm of pen and still does the 320 damage per shot. So, and it still has the 4 shots in the magazine. So it's pretty much just as good as the starting gun. The only upgrade really is that you get a little bit of a shorter time to completely reload. It goes from 37 seconds down to 34 in a second gun, and you get more penetration. Penetration goes from 179 to 217, which is a big difference. 179 is more like, I guess, a tier 8 heavy tank gun for penetration, but other than that, it's pretty much the same tank. So when this tank was completely stock, I actually got a Radley Walters in this tank. So I was top tier, but you know, you can still do well. The grind is pretty painless on this tank. It's not much different to the upgraded tank. So that's good. And as you can see, a 217 pen is not bad. It's just really that the accuracy is horrid, and the turret traverse is pretty slow, which doesn't help either. Now I have, it takes longer to aim than it does for the shell to reload. So because of that, aiming time is critical, and I have a gun laying drive fitted to try and increase or decrease the aiming time. Also have vents fitted for the exact same reason. So my aiming time is now down to 2.73, whereas the intra-shell reload I think stays the same, doesn't it? I don't think that changes with crew skills, so I'm pretty sure, because that's up to the autoloader, it's not up to the crew, so I'm pretty sure that the autoloader will still be 3 seconds between each shot. The crew I have, they're all working on Brothers in Arms, but it's not complete, so it doesn't count. The commander has 6th sense and camouflage, although he didn't have 6th sense to my later games, so I'm not sure if I'll have it in the games that you see. This guy has snapshot and is working on and repairs. This guy has smooth ride and clutch braking to help the tracks turn a bit faster. I also have a vertical stabilizer fitted to help increase accuracy, because aiming time is everything in this tank. Let's have a quick look at the armor and we'll get into some gameplay. Alright, we are in Tanks GG, and I'm only going to look at these two tanks to compare to each other because they're both tier 8 heavy auto loaders. I'm not comparing to any premium tanks. Now this is, tier 8 is the tier when the game really heavily invests in pay to win. So it never used to be that bad, but there are a lot of premium tanks now that are a little bit OP, as I think most people know. There are 13 tier 8 heavy tanks that you can get by just grinding through and playing the game. There are 29 that you can buy. So there's no way I could compare all the tanks. So I'm just going to compare these two because they're both auto loaders, and yeah, that's a similar thing, I guess. So as always with auto loaders, DPM is low. Penetration of 217 we have is actually about average for a tier 8 heavy. 232 on the AMX 5100 is pretty good actually. Average damage of 320 per shot is also kind of average for a tier 8 heavy. 300 is kind of maybe a tad below average on the AMX, very similar anyway. Rate of fire, well, it takes us, well, let's have a look. There are 4 shots in our clip and there are 6 shots in the AMX clip. Ours takes 34 seconds to reload that clip, and AMX 5100 takes a massive 50 seconds to reload the clip. So you could probably say that's a fair trade. Between the shots, ours takes 3 seconds between each shot. The AMX 5100 only takes 2.73. That's a pretty big advantage. Yeah, now both tanks though have a problem with aiming time. We take 3.2 seconds to aim, even though it takes 3 seconds to load. The AMX takes 3 seconds to aim, even though it only takes 2.73 seconds to reload. So basically by the time your gun's reloaded, you haven't finished aiming, which is a big problem. So on both tanks it's very, very important to improve the aiming time as much as possible by fitting gun laying drive and vents. I think it's essential equipment for both these tanks. So yeah, but very similar on both the tanks, that problem. Let's have a look now at gun handling. The gun handling on the Emil 1 is atrocious, and if you have a look in the internet, you'll see, or through forums and things, you'll see that most people, the consensus is the gun handling on the Emil 1 is awful. If you look here, the gun handling stats are worse than the AMX, but it's worse than most tanks in its tier. The amount of dispersion on moving the turret is very, very high in this tank, and it also has a very slow turret traverse, so it's not good. The gun depression though of 12 degrees is very, very good. It's quite good on the AMX 5100 at 9 degrees as well, but being a mid-mounted turret rather than the front-mounted turret means it kind of feels more like about 8 degrees, or 8 degrees is about the most you can get without exposing your hull if you're hill fighting. The forward speed of both tanks is very similar, 50 and 51. The AMX 5100 has the edge in reversing though, 20 versus 16. The power to weight ratio is much better in the AMX 5100, and the Emil does suffer greatly going up hills. Terrain resistances are identical though in both tanks. The turret traverse is awful on the Emil 1, 20 is worse than most of the other tanks, and the AMX 5100 is 32, which is pretty good. Track traverse is about average at 30. So slow moving turret, and you lose a lot of your aim whilst you move the turret, which is why I have the stabilizer fitted to increase accuracy during turret traverse on this tank. Also probably a good fitting for the AMX 5100. I've just got the AMX 5100 myself and currently grinding it. Hull armor, well, the AMX 5100 has no usable armor at all. Whereas on the Emil we have good frontal turret armor. So we have armor that can be used in hold down position. The AMX 5100 has no armor that can be used in any position. The AMX 5100 is essentially a medium tank. So our advantage is we have better frontal armor and some usable armor. The AMX 5100's advantage is it has 6 shots in its magazine, has a little bit better gun handling, and but it does have that really long clip reload. It also has better view range at 380. We have 360. 360 is pretty close to the worst of Tier 8 heavies. I think the only worst one is the IS-3 with 350. So view range in this tank is awful. The shells are cheap though, at just $690 compared to $1,030 in the AMX 5100. So in theory, we should be more profitable in the Emil 1. So frontally, the upper and the upper hull is 100mm and the lower hull is 125. I've positioned the camera here about the same height as the gun, and you can see that with about you need about 215mm to get through the lower plate, and less than 200mm, 190mm will easily get you through the upper plate. Not many tanks at Tier 8 can't get through that. Oh well, there might be some, and some of the Tier 7 heavies with say 175mm of pen might struggle a little bit getting through that upper plate. If you angle it, sure, it's tougher, but the side of the tank is so weak, they just put a hole, even at your tracks here, will go straight through. Even light tanks can penetrate this if you're slight angled. So in this, never ever angle this tank. Always point directly at your enemy, and that goes for the turret as well. Frontally, the turret is pretty good. This very heavily sloped section, this orange section here, is 180mm of armor, and because it's heavily sloped, we've got 240s. I'll make myself the same height as the gun here. 250 up high, 240, 230 down here. Flatter section here, and still need about 240mm to pen. This funny little section here at the front is 250mm of armor, and so it's quite strong as well. These side sections here do weaken off a lot, but they are very well angled. So 150mm is coming up, you know, well over 200, depending on where you hit. But the easiest part, somewhere around here, is about, you still need about 280. So it's easier to pen the front than it is to pen those cheeks. So about 250mm will see you getting through the front of this target. So Tier 10 tanks and that sort of stuff can still pen you. And if you manage to get hull down in a really good position, unfortunately, so many people now just, or well, it's only a small percentage, but there always seems to be somebody who loads goals and gold ammo and just punches holes through the front of your turret. So that's just life, and with the current matchmaking, you're only top tier 20% of the time. So this tank does suffer from that, unfortunately. Even though this little bit here is only 85mm, because of the massive sloping, it's pretty much a ricochet. That said, now onto the bad points about the armor. The side armor is only 20mm, folks. That's light tank armor. The side of the turret is 35mm. The rear of the tank here is 30mm. That's more armor than the side. The top of the tank is 18mm. Top deck is also 18mm. So any artillery hitting your tank, even the front top deck is only 30mm, they will fully penetrate your tank. Same thing with people shooting at the side with HE, and you can get, and I have been, one shot, particularly by Tier 10 HE firing guns. The other thing about this is you cannot side scrape at all. Guns will overmatch, and I do make a mistake in one of the games I'm going to show you, and you'll see me get killed basically by trying to side scrape. Let's get into the gameplay. The map is Abbey, and we'll just get the tank picture. There we go. So this is actually not a bad map for this tank, because there are opportunities to get your tank hull down and present just the turret. I'm just going to move the microphone. Hope this doesn't make too much noise for people with headphones. I tried to be gentle. So yes, I'm often racing to get to that sort of a hull down position. As you can see, the tank moves fairly quickly. I'm doing 44 kilometers per hour here. Unfortunately, as soon as you start to sort of go uphill, it does slow quite a bit. The power to weight ratio isn't there, but the downhill speed's there, and it does allow you a lot of times in games to get to the front line quick. Not always a good thing. Get yourself into trouble, particularly if you happen to go to the front line and nobody goes with you and you're on your own. Being on your own in the tank is bad because autoloader. Waiting 30 seconds to reload your clip isn't much fun when there's the 3 tanks driving around the corner. This guy flips right at the start of the game here. Poor guy. So I'm trying to straighten him up, and I miss a shot on that P43, unfortunately, because I would have been in place to shoot that guy. So Unfortunately, we missed a guaranteed penetration. Anyway, we get our guy back up and running. He says thank you, so that's good. I now get into position. AC4 experimental would also be an easy hit, has no armour. Tier 6 premium medium tank, which I have reviewed. Quite a good tank actually. This guy comes out and tries to side scrape, but against this gun he can't do that. Now, I did mention the accuracy is terrible. The accuracy will probably seem okay in these games, which is why you're seeing them. Of course, if I missed, if I fired 30 shots and missed 15 of them, you're probably not going to see that game, are you? So, yeah. So I got stunned there by artillery, but it luckily missed me and didn't actually do any damage to me. It was just a bit of a splash and a stun. I'm getting further back so I can get shots on this guy. Aiming at his lower plate here. We get the track because I didn't fully aim and actually it's not great. This one does go in. He bounces off our turret and we get the next shot in. I now start backing away, trying to keep my turret pointed at him the whole time. So very important, keep your turret pointed at your enemies the whole time. Also make sure in this tank, I think anyway, make sure that you don't expose yourself to more than one enemy at a time, because if someone's even on a slight angle, if they get to that side of your turret, I think it's 30 millimeters, then they could possibly, if they've got bigger than a 120mm gun, overmatch the side of your armor and auto-pen it. So you do have to be very careful not to let them. Also, the cheeks of the armor, because they're angled, once they have a bit of a side view of you, there we go, and this is where the auto-loader is good. I aim for front wheel, but I don't need to because he was on low health. That's where the auto-loader is good. Someone gets caught out in the open like that, you can really wreck them. Now I see we've got 3 tanks up the top there, so I don't bother following them because they're sort of ahead of me, and I figure, well, I'll take a different angle so we get a flanking position here. I am being careful. I try and use these rocks for cover on the way. I have poor view range, so I need to keep my tank covered as I approach. I'm going to use this rock here and see if I can just peer my turret over the top of this rock. There's a KV-2 there. I don't know if he's going to come out for a shot. Doesn't appear like it. Then I can see this T-34-85 and he's moved beyond the rock. So now, once again, going from rock to rock to try and protect my hull on the way through. Is he going to have a shot? He does manage to get behind the rock just in time, and he donks his shot. He probably saw me be going behind the rock and then rushed his shot. I make a mistake here of angling my tank out a little bit there. It's just habit from heavy tanks to leave it angled and so you can sort of side scrape bounce. It doesn't work in this tank. He could have penned my side then. Then moving up here, I see the T-150, think, okay, I'm clear from the KV-2 because the T-150's there, but no. The KV-2 has just got himself in the right position to sneak a shot through there, and I get hammered. However, in his panic to get away, his driving skills fail him, and I've got 2 shots left in the clip, and I put them both into him. Now, my ammo rack was damaged, and the ammo rack on this tank is extremely fragile. That's something I didn't mention, so I fixed the ammo rack to try and get the gun loading again. Damaged ammo rack on an auto-loader is a disaster. And I poke here and I can see the M12. So that's another thing about an auto-loader. Missed opportunity. We could go and kill the artillery, but I can't because I don't have any ammunition in my gun. Now, here comes the T-34-85. He bounces the shot off our front. I decide to go into him to try and stop him hitting my hull. I put a shot. My autoloader has reloaded just in time here. I don't think he can pen me in this position. And we get 3 shots into him now, I think. Now, if you notice, that KV-2 did 927 damage to us with that side shot. So, yeah, we were lucky to stay alive. That was a Class 2 game in the tank. We also got high caliber. And we finished second on our team for experience. Our Cromwell B finished on top, doing quite well indeed. We did 2,562 damage, so not too bad. And the next screen, we can see that we fired 11 shots. They all hit. So like I said, you're not seeing the typical accuracy. 10 of them penetrated. We did 2,562 damage. We received 5 hits, only 1 of them penned. So that was obviously the KV-2 shooting us from the side, which wrecked us really. But we bounced 4 shots off our turret, so we blocked 860 damage. Nothing big shooting us though. Tier 10s a lot of T10s will bounce off your turret, but some of them will pen you. Vehicle spotted 2, 5 damage, 3 destroyed, a little bit, 273 assistance damage, and I had some reserve bonuses going, which made us a bit of coin. We probably would have made about, what, 26,000 or 27,000? So not bad profit in this tank. The map is Himmelsdorf. It's a tier 8 game, so we're top tier. I'm going to rush to Tank Alley, as we used to call it, and get into the hold down position there and just try and use my turret. Because I'm top tier, the turret should do very well, and even some gold rounds would bounce off it. So we're just going to get into that position now. Now the tank isn't actually super high, so I just struggle a little bit here to conceal my hull. Now remember, there is no point side scraping, so he fires and hits my turret, and I'm in position now. Luckily he got rid of that truck for me, which was a problem. So now I didn't hit his tank there at all. I wasn't fully aimed. This is the thing, as soon as you move your turret, it starts to bloom a lot straight away. That time we get into his cupola, and I move back, let my other guys have a few shots. ISU 152 there. Get 1, 2, and back away. Now I got hit by these two, and he did penetrate us. So I'm not sure whether he got our turret or not. Let's see if we can have a quick look. No, we hit our hull. Look at that. Wow, look at that hole in the front. So, wow, yeah. And it was angled about that angle. He went straight through it. You can see another one there's bounced off the bottom of our turret, so he was trying to get my hull. Now, I'm just reloading here, and this is the other thing. If you get into a really good position in the front line where you hold down and everything, you'll lose the position, because you pretty much have to move while you reload so the other guys can have a shot, and then, of course, you don't get the position back. So I move over here because I noticed some tanks spotted out there, and here he is, he's just sitting there. We get one into him, Pam reload and get the second one, you can't, but his buddy is sitting there. That missed. Don't know where that went, guys, but that's a bit of an example of the accuracy on the tank there, that just completely went nowhere. I have a lot of shots on this tank. Oh, he's going to come through up here now, and that one goes in. Another one. Nah, he moved away. But that was an example of, yeah, well, we just had another shot bounce off a turret, that you can really just, well, miss a lot, and you can have, you know, really bad ones where you fire your whole 4 shots and not pen at all. So yeah, but here we are, just sitting here reloading. I see this VK here just driving out in the open, can't do a damn thing about it. Getting into position now, nearly flipping my tank over for some reason. I think I had was it a lag spike then? I had a couple of lag spikes, I don't know if in this game, but then I see him coming right around, so I think, okay, I'll drive right around here and see if we can get in here. And inexplicably, he's just sitting right there. I really don't know. That's some bad driving from that guy. Got himself into a bad spot there. Just trying to see if I can see that guy. Looks like I just missed him, so I decided to back out and see if I can get a shot there. I realise I can't get that side scraping position back. I see there's a firefly up the top as well. We've obviously lost the hill. But then I see there's a tank on my left. The firefly looks like a bit too scared to come out, so I decided to go for this guy. Waiting, aiming, and we fire. That one goes in. Hallelujah. So does that one. Will we get the next shot in? Don't know where that shot went. Who knows? Didn't even see the shell. You'll get that a lot in this tank. So yeah, I guess we got to demonstrate anyway in these games pretty well how you can use the turret, and it's pretty good when the turret's working. But you know, if anything, even like this, because that shot touches your hull, you explode. Pretty much. So these guys just look like they're going to rush around the corner, and I don't know. Maybe they think they're losing the game and they just want to get some damage. I'm not sure why they've just done that, but anyway, we're going to take advantage of it. I'm exposing my hull a little bit, but I figure I'm going to be able to kill whoever I shoot. So, 1, 2, he doesn't get a chance to reel. This guy's exposing his cupola, but somehow we either bounced or missed. But I see the ISU on low health, so I aim for him, thinking I will kill him, and I missed him as well. So that was pretty close range shooting. And that's what I say, if you're aiming for weak spots, not good. Not a good tank for aiming for weak spots, even at relatively close range. And now we've got this massive reload again. So I reckon this probably could have been a mastery game, but for accuracy. I just take the shot here, put one into him, which somehow doesn't pan, and somebody else gets that shot. So I did no damage to that guy, then all I did was take a hit. That was so much fun. So I've got 2 shots in my gun, and I'm just going to use this dead KV-2 as a bit of protection. And you can see I'm not bothering to angle my tank, 1 into his turret. His hull is still exposed, I don't know what he's doing. Has he got nowhere to go? Why is he still sitting here? Now I just pull back behind this guy for a reload. So my turret's exposed, but really pretty much impenetrable, unless they gold it up a little bit. But you will notice too in these games, no one fires gold at me. So very long reload. I might just speed this up a little bit to 2 times while I'm reloading. We bounced the T-34 there off the turret, and I'm back to normal speed again. Wish you could do that in the game. And he still has his hull exposed. He bounces another one off our turret. I get hit by the IS from the side. Very foolish of me, I didn't check. Now here, guys, is where I make a massive mistake. I forget the tank I'm in. I think I'm in a heavy tank. And I thought, I'm just going to side scrape out and nail this guy. 120 millimeters, 122 millimeters, I think it's 120 millimeter gun against 30 mils of armor. Automatic, overmatch, automatic penetration. It's like a light tank trying to side scrape. That was incredibly stupid of me. In fact, that probably cost me the mastery game right there. That was just so stupid of me. Anyway, we won the game. Game over. That was a class 1 in the game, and we got high caliber. I have played 192 battles in this tank, and I have a 56% win ratio. My maximum damage was 4,440. Unfortunately, I lost that replay when they updated the game. I lost a lot of replays, actually. So the tank has potential. It's actually, I find it fun to drive most of the time. It's just at the moment with the matchmaking the way it is, and I think everybody at tier 8 is finding this, well, at all tiers, is finding this, unless you're tier 10, is that it's very, very difficult because you're only top tier in 20% of your games, and your bottom tier, I think it's 48% of the games it works out to be. And the tier 10s and tier 9s, I find a lot of the time just spam gold, and you essentially end up being a light tank. So that's a bit of an issue, which I hope Wargaming address. But if it wasn't for that, if matchmaking was the way it used to be, I think I would be saying that this is a fantastic tank. I think I would be going along those lines. But so bear that in mind if you're watching this in the future and they've changed the matchmaking back to the way it used to be. Okay. Thank you for watching my review of the Emil 1, and I hope you enjoyed it. If you did, please give it a thumbs up. If you'd like to see more reviews, please subscribe to Reginaldesq. Have fun.